Welcome back in, everybody. Hour 2 of Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy right here on the Golf Talk Radio Network. Very shortly, Mr. Dave Shamandel will be calling in your key to better golf with clubs, grips, repairs, adjusting loft and lies, flight scope, and lessons, you name it. Mr. Shamandel and Slick Sticks are the winning combination. 805-598-9993. Billy mentioned the beginning of the show, in case you guys missed it. He's got his new grips, the green Augusta grips. I can't wait to see those.
You know, they are fine looking. I almost brought one. I put them in my bag, but I almost brought one. So
love to see them.
But someday we will play golf. We'll let it go. I'll just let it go and go up there.
Nice.
I'll go up the mountain, man. I will travel.
I will come down the mountain too.
We can meet on the mountain.
On the mountain.
Who do we got?
Hello, David.
See whether. Oh yeah, hey, cool. Are you with us, Dave?
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, and Billy is so delightful. But as he said today on the show, let it go, let it go, let it go.
Thank you.
Wow.
Wow, Dave.
That was nicely done.
That was beautiful, Dave.
It was, wasn't it?
It was.
That was very nice, David.
Thank you again.
How's everybody today?
So good.
Very
Good.
Can't hear you, but I think you're there. Thank you again for the clubs.
Oh.
And Josie, thank you for buying the grips. Well, thanks. I know you did all that effort on you, and I appreciate your time and space, man. So good job.
I still have tears in my eyes when Mike said how much you take care of your club.
Yeah, I know. That's
and it took me
I'm
3.5 hours to clean them yesterday.
That set has been in a bag for 3 years now.
That was a little insider there.
Yeah, but no, that's been in a bag for 3 or 4 years. I haven't used those clubs for 3 or 4 years. They're back when I was Cobra staff, so I've been staff since then.
Wow.
I've been Adams TaylorMade since then.
Wow.
I've heard of petrified wood, but you had petrified mud.
I know. And I figured who else could clean that stuff out but you? I'm thinking, yeah, and you have all the gadgets there and the sand blasters and all that stuff that was needed. Personally, I didn't have the time nor the patience for that, so I just let it go to you.
You let it go.
That's what I did. So thank you again for your sandblasting and cleaning my clubs. That was very nice of you, Dave.
Did you really have to sandblast them, Dave?
Oh, no.
No, it's amazing what a bucket of water will do.
Oh, that's the trick.
Did you use any Coca-Cola? Anything like that to...
I don't want to clean them up. I don't want the rust that he had. That takes years.
Leave that on there, man. I don't want that stuff cleaned off. I should have had a checklist.
No, those are nice grips, though, aren't they?
Yeah, they look beautiful. I have not made a swing with them yet, but I plan on it soon. But they sure look great, so thank you. They're beautiful. My wife was coming.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Yeah. And Josie?
Now I got some space in the shop for some extra grips, finally.
All right, man, as long as I can help out. So you just let it go, Dave. Let it go.
Hey, Dave, I love the shaft in my driver.
Good.
The Fujikura. I
sold 2 more of those this month.
I played at Morro Bay on last Tuesday, and the game was blues and whites, and I played the blues and the whites, and I'm telling you, I kept up with the guys the whole time. I love it.
Good for you.
Can't we all just get along?
Yeah.
So, Dave, good luck.
Well, covered, and, there's only so much to golf clubs, but there is one thing we really don't talk too much about, and that's shafts for wedges. We talk about the grind, and that's totally misunderstood by 90% of the people out there. But at least, people say, I need a 12-degree grind or whatever, bounce. But nobody ever pays any attention to the shaft. And if you really look at very expensive wedges that are being sold out there, a lot of them, the shafts they're putting in them are seconds.
Wow.
They're not even up to spec.
So the wedge is getting the shaft.
Yeah, how many times have you seen a shaft band on a wedge that said wedge?
All the time. I saw 2 of them yesterday.
It didn't say stiff. It didn't say R300. It didn't say regular. It said wedge.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's going to fit everybody. I guess everybody hits a wedge, so maybe that's it.
That's a good point.
And then you see the specialty shafts, the S200s and the S400s instead of the S300s and the dynamic golds. And those are just seconds, those shafts. I was talking to Billy about that yesterday, that they're not a specialty shaft. They just, when they were manufactured, they didn't come up to spec as far as weight goes. So if they were a little light, that's where you get your 200s. And if they're a little heavy, that's where you get your 400s.
Huh. So what?
And they put them in wedges because they don't have enough for whole sets. You can special order them for whole sets if you want your shafts a little lighter, a little heavy, but they weren't made to be that way. They just kind of ended up that way.
Well, if the wedges shaft is neglected, how can people actually try different shafts? To me, that seems to be very challenging to the fitter. There must be some kind of a gadget or something that you use, is there?
Well, thank you, Billy. That's a wonderful segue. And for that, you win nothing, but we will continue with the show.
Well, I got clean clubs out of you, so that's my job's done.
Well, yes, you did. No, I got a new fitting system for wedges, and it's really a beautiful system. It's what's the company I'm working with now, Swing Science. They have a fitting for their demos, kind of similar to Titleist as far as being able to interchange shafts with heads. And one of the things I've always had problems with fitting clubs is when you get those adapters to be able to change shafts, it adds a little bit of weight. Well, these come out exactly the same. You know, the weight, the feel, the size, and everything's going to be exactly the same. And so I've got one head and 5 adapters for it for shafts, and I'm going to put 5 different wedge shafts in it, and that perform very differently. And we're going to start paying a lot more attention to fitting wedges, not just, you know, do you want 56 degree with 12 degrees bounce? You know, let's get a head we like, and then determine what shaft works better for you, because you know, some shafts hit it high, some hit it low, some hit with extra spin, some hit with very little spin, some hit it high with low spin, some hit it low with low spin. There's all kinds of combinations, and up until now, 90% of the people out there get a shaft that says wedge.
And what, you know, when they get that shaft that says wedge in it, are there typical characteristics? Because like you said, they're either a 200 or a 400. Is it always going to be a 200 is going to have more spin and a 400 is going to have less, or the opposite, or is it always changing?
The spin for those, the 200 is going to have a little more spin, negligible. Nobody will notice it, just because it's a little bit lighter, and lighter shafts do create a little more spin. But like I say, it's not something that's really noticeable. It's the same shaft. It's a dynamic gold. And dynamic golds are known for their low spin rates.
So, Dave, you mentioned you had different heads, so to try different shafts, obviously. So I couldn't bring my wedge, and you can start tweaking different shafts in it, because it's a two-piece system, right? You need the head and the shaft, or can you use my golf club?
No, actually, I use my wedge. What we do is we find a head that you like.
So you have different heads, I'm taking it, right? You have different heads?
Oh, I have several different heads, awesome. But for this shaft fitting system, it's just out of one head.
And so you really can tell the difference, and that's kind of cool. So it's it's definitely the shaft that's making the difference if you see a difference.
Yeah, and I'm going to say I haven't put them together yet. That's one of my things, either today or tomorrow, that I'm going to do. Is I'm going to set them up identical. Every shaft's going to be the same length, same grip, same everything that I can do, except for the material of the shaft, and of course using the same head. And not only a similar head, but the exact same head. So when we interchange shafts and you hit some shots, you'll be able to see definite differences. I guarantee it.
That's pretty interesting, and I bet a lot of people don't even realize, like you said. So what are you going to do with all those stickers that say wedge on it? You're going to have all these stickers out there with nothing to put on it. Right?
Well,
I'm feeling sorry
the
for
the only shafts I really give of that are the broken ones that I have to reshaft, because the always and all those guys, and they get those shafts for about $2 a shaft, and that's why they use them.
So is that what goes into a Vokey?
Take a look at your Vokeys. They're, I'd say, 80% of Vokey shafts are dynamic golds, and then you take a look at the markings on it, and a lot of them just say wedge.
Yeah, I can see it as you say it. I can see it visually.
Dave, we talked yesterday about when the 200s came out. Everybody it was amazing how light it was. Can people order a set of S200s, or are they all mistakes?
Oh yeah, you can
That's
order
what I was
shaft.
too.
So
Say again,
And
Dave.
you
Sorry,
can-
I talked over you. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. No, you can order S200s. They're the same price, but people don't keep them in stock because it's kind of an oddball shaft. What I was talking about yesterday, though, was when the dynamic golds came out.
Right. It was the light. It
Just
was metal.
the S300, because it was a dynamic before that, and that was a super ultra light shaft at the time. Now it's the heaviest tank.
Put graphite shafts as well.
Certainly.
That's awesome.
And I'm probably going to throw a graphite in the mix. It's a
club.
spinny shaft. That shaft can add up to, I think it's 1,100 RPMs of spin.
No wonder I hit it straight up and not very far. That thing's spinning like crazy.
You're a good
Well,
spinner
actually,
of the ball, bro.
it
You've always spun
should
the
hit the
ball.
ball. That shaft should actually bring your ball flight down a little bit and spin like
I can't
crazy.
wait to play golf with some club. Any club. Just go out there and play and find out what happens. I'm looking forward to that. So,
Well, you got the grips.
got grips now. They should last
And
me
let
for
it go.
10 years. I'm gonna let it go. It's done. My wife is so kind. She's got me covered for 10 more years.
Wow.
I'll tell you, those grips I took off were about 10 years old.
They were when we first got Golf Talk Radio. Did they have Golf Talk Radio on them? Didn't they? We had Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember
We
putting
had
those on, and that was...
I'm telling you, I didn't have that set's been collecting dust and dirt for 4 or 5 years in my garage, so I brought them back
Well, I
out.
could see myself in a couple of them.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I
They
could
were
see
so
myself.
I'm
shiny.
sorry about that. I mean, there's nothing worse than seeing yourself.
That's so funny. So funny. So,
Right.
David, what's new for you for Slick Sticks for 2018? You got some new. I know all the new products are getting ready to be released. Kind of across the golf industry.
I do have a couple of things that are new that are pretty cool. Besides a cough, I've got a head out by Swing Science that's made especially for slow swingers, women, senior citizens, people that just can't generate a lot of club head speed. They're designed just to get the ball up in the air. They got real wide soles to help you get the ball up in the air and keep from hitting fat shots. I really expect those to be a pretty good seller. And well, like I say, the wedge fitting system that I'm starting up, that's I'm really excited about that because I've never seen anybody do it.
Billy was mentioning when we were at Avila, this was a long, long time ago. We got a wedge fitting cart from Titleist, which was the Vokey fitting system. But it was just like the older fitting systems. You couldn't interchange the shafts. You had
Sweepers and diggers.
You had 16 or 18 wedges. You had to bring them up in a cart. Thing weighed a ton. And the fun part was like you guys were saying. I mean, you could swing all the different wedges and get all the different feels and all of them, and try all the different bounce and all this and the grinds and all this stuff. But even at that point, I don't think many people knew what all that stuff meant. But I can remember being at Avila and Avila's range being uphill. It was actually pretty good for good point. Yeah, you just could never see it land. You could just disappear up into the hill, and that was it. Like, oh, that ball's gone. So.
Oh God, I know you guys lost a bunch of balls up there.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, that wedge thing sounds really cool. Sounds very.
Yeah, well,
cool.
what I like about it is that I'm able to interchange shafts with the same head, and then you can really see what the shaft is doing. Because, if you do it the old way, where you got, like you say, 50 wedges, let's say, and which is tremendous to be able to have, but you got a different head in a different shaft, and you start, you don't know if the difference is being caused by the head or the shaft.
Right.
And so this way, we find a head you like, and then we get fine tune it with shaft. And
what year do you think the left-handed head will come out,
see.
Dave? What year do you think you'd have a left-handed head to try that on? What year?
Let
5 years?
Let it go, Bill.
All right, I'm going to let it go. Just curious.
Touche.
Just curious. I will let it go, but that's starting the new year. So today I could still ask, when are you going to get a left-handed head? See, starting next year, I would just let it go.
I
But right now,
don't know.
I'm not ready yet.
And that is my best answer.
It's a good one. I like it.
Component companies, as a rule, used to just dominate the left-handed world because, they were always looking for the unique thing to do, a revolutionary design or left-handed in every loft and driver and things like that. But as the doldrums have hit the golf industry, they can't afford to do it anymore. They're just not selling as many, and I've talked about this on the show quite a few times, that the component industry started getting a little niche out of the golf industry. 3-4% of sales were going into components, and Titleist and Callaway and all the big boys, they didn't like that, and they saw that there wasn't really a huge difference in quality of clubs, but there was a huge difference that the clubs were being fitted. And what have you seen over the last 8 years, 10 years? They all have their own little fitting carts now.
Yep, that's true.
And they're doing it right.
So what you're really saying is being left-handed is expensive.
Yeah, that was kind of a long answer to, sorry, Bill.
Yeah, I appreciate the honesty, and that's okay. We're still only 7% of
How
golfers.
how much would it cost?
So if we're 7% of golfers, you only need 7% of equipment, which isn't very much. So.
How much would it cost to get a left-handed head for your fitting set?
$27,800.
Give me a ballpark.
You're pretty close, Bill.
Yeah, I know. I've done my research.
I remember when I was talking to Mike Tate from SMT Golf about that exact idea. I said, when he came out with his irons, and I said, and he had 5 or 6 drivers in left and right-handed, and lost from 4 degrees to 16 degrees. I mean, it was the choices were just phenomenal. And I said, okay, well, what are you going to do with the irons? He said nothing, because it was costing close to about $30,000 to set up shop.
Wow.
That's before you make your first head.
That's nuts.
And you got to sell a lot of heads to break even on just the dive for the first one.
Yeah.
So basically, you should quit while you're ahead.
Oh God, we're on a roll today, aren't we?
Let it go, baby.
You know what? Let's call this the first show. I mean, it's happening on the PGA Tour. This is the first show of the wraparound season.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Okay.
This is the first show of the 17-18 season.
Okay, let's call that. Write that down, Mike.
Got it right here.
I
my
can
pen
tell
ran
you're
out of
really
ink. You got a
excited about that.
It was awesome, Dave. I'm just reading. I'm
Yeah,
reading ahead here,
really
man.
good idea.
It was good.
No, it was good, Dave.
Awesome, Dave.
So, Dave, thank you. Thank you for a great year. And we're letting it go and looking forward to 2018. And people, get out there and contact Dave Shamandl, 805-598-9993. 805-598-9993. He can get you set up on the wedge fitting. He can get you set up on grips, repairs, fitting, flight scope, golf lessons, you name it. Dave Shamandl, Slick Sticks, the winning combination, 598-9993. Thanks, David.
It has been a good year. Thank you, guys, and let's do it again.
Yes,
Happy
we
New
will.
Year, Dave.
Thanks, David.
Happy New Year's to you guys. I hope you have a great one.
Thank you, David. See you,
Bye.
buddy.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Let him go.
Let him go. And with that, we'll take our first break of the second hour. Listen to Golf Talk Radio with Mike and Billy right here on the Golf Talk Radio Network. Want to call the show? 805-595-3776. 805-595-3776. We'll be right back. Stay with us.